I want to thank everybody for coming. I know a lot of people have joined us for all three of our sessions, which is amazing. Some of you might be joining tonight for the first time, which is great as well. But it's really nice that we've seen the same people so many weeks in a row. So we want to thank everybody at UGIA, Gifnach Shul, Newton Mern Shul, and of course we have a lot of people from Leeds today, which is amazing, joining us to support Corinne, because as we will hear, Corinne is the shlicha in Leeds, the Jaffe and UGIA shlicha in Leeds, and so we have a lot of people from Leeds joining us, which is great. And it's really nice that we also, I think we have Israel and Canada, and of course London and Manchester. So we are a very international crew here tonight, which is very exciting. So you should have received a cookbook by email. If you did not receive this cookbook, then you can pop your email in the chat, either to me or to UGIA, and we can get that cookbook emailed to you. And it's a really beautiful cookbook with all of the recipes from the 3 sessions. So we started with Sarah. You can see Sarah is here with us today. Hi, Sarah. We started off with her Ethiopian cooking. And so there's those recipes. There's my Indian recipes from last night. And there are Corinne special recipes from tonight. So you definitely want that cookbook. It has the recipes and the stories. And now we're going to head over to Corinne in Leeds. So hi.
Hi.
Can you tell us, what are we making today?
Today we're making fleta, which is a Moroccan Jewish dish that we make in Mimuna, which is after Passover. It's on Isru Chag. When it's here, it's Yom Tov. We have Isru Chag in Israel. And on Isru Chag, we do Mimuna, which is like huge festival of Jews from Morocco and Israel. So yeah, we're gonna make fleta. It's a very, very, very popular in Israel. And yeah, even Prince Harry had a fleta a couple of years ago with Meghan, and the headlines in Israel was like.
I'm gonna share the article with you guys. Can you see that? We have our nice picture of Harry and Meghan eating their mufleta, and you tonight are going to make mufleta for us as well. So that is
they went to a tour in Morocco, and then all the headlines in Israel like Prince Harry ate mufleta, and so I think it seems like he liked it, so hopefully that you will like it too.
Amazing. Okay, Corinne, you used a lot of Hebrew words just there. Can you translate some of them for us? So mufleta is this pancake that we're making. Yeah. What about mimuna? What is mimuna?
Mimuna, I don't know how to translate. I think it's from Moroccan word. But Mimuna is it's a huge festival of Moroccan Jews after Passover. Basically, we enjoy now like going back eating chametz. So basically, mufleta, it's out of flour. So this is Mimuna. It's a huge party. It's a huge that everyone wants to go into. Every Moroccan family, Jewish Moroccan family in Israel, makes a huge celebration after Passover, including lots of sweets and music and costumes, and it's very colorful and with great music, with Moroccan music, and it's very, very, very fun. And it's basically the day of the Moroccan Jews in Israel.
Amazing. And your family is Moroccan?
I'm a little bit Moroccan. Yes, my mom is, my grandparents, my grandma from my mom's side is Moroccan, and my grandfather is Romanian, and for my father's side, my grandparents born in Iraq.
Okay, wow. So you have like a lot of different cultural heritages all combined with you. Okay, so we're gonna definitely get into that because that sounds very, very fascinating. Can you show us first? Let's start off our mufleta. So how do we make this mufleta?
Okay, so I made the dough in advance. It's already seated for like half an hour, 20 minutes. It has to be like minimum 20 minutes, but half an hour, it's fine. I hope you can see it. Basically, it's 1 kilo of flour, 3 cups of water, teaspoon of salt, and 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then you add the water gradually until you get this really nice dough. It takes a while until you get you have to mix it for like a few good minutes. And then you have this. So I have to say some disclaimer about Moroccan food. It's every recipe starts with half a bottle of oil. Because we cook a lot with a lot of oil. So I want to not be scared from what we're going to see, because it's going to be a lot of oil. So I'm going to spray this oil on the counter, because we need to work with the dough with.
Wait, can you show us a close-up of the texture of that dough in the bowl?
Yes.
So we can see it more closely. Can you like touch it?
Yeah, I will. Oh, wait. It's quite heavy.
Okay. So I'm wondering, so you said the ingredients, we have 1 kilo of flour and salt and the water, is that right?
Yeah.
And sugar optional. So is it better to start with the flour and then
Can you see that?
Add in the salt, or do you just put everything together and mix it?
Everything together.
Everything.
And then and then you just add the water gradually.
Okay, we have a few questions in the chat. So is there no yeast in the dough? There's no yeast, right?
No, you can find a recipe of a flatter with yeast, but there's no need for yeast in this recipe.
Okay, and we have another question. How do you mix it? Do you mix it just by hand or in a mixer?
Just by hand. You can go fancy and do it with a mixer, but there's no need. You can do it just with hand. It's possible both ways. So what I'm going to do now, I hope you can see. You see how the dough looks now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to make it round again. And now what we're going to do, we're going to separate the dough to not saute, but in the size of an egg or a small ping pong ball or tennis ball, and basically to separate for a lot of ball and put it in a tray. So I'm going to show you. So this is the tray, and after we separate the dough, we put it in a bottle of oil. Just a second.
Just to know about the videos, if you go onto speaker view, you can see Corinne bigger, and then you can see closer what she's doing. And if you have it on gallery view, then you can see everybody. So if you want to see closer, then you can put it on.
Yeah.
Speaker.
So basically, as I say in the recipe, it's 1 cup of oil. So you put it here in this bowl, 1 cup of oil, and this is what I'm going to do. You just take like a small piece, I hope you can see it, and make it like a small tennis ball. So and I will show you closer. I just put it inside the bowl with the oil, and then I put it in the tray. Hope you can see it. So this is how I go with the entire dough. Just small balls, and in a bowl of oil, and then put it in the trays until we finish the entire bowl.
Okay. The dough looks quite firm. Like it has a lot of flour in it.
Yes, as I said, 1 kilo of flour. There's a portion here for like so many people. Yeah, that's the recipe. Yeah, because I think it's very Moroccan thing. Like if you already start to cook something, and it takes a lot of work, so just like make like a huge, portions, so you can have so many people. And also because like my mom always used to joke that my grandma used to cook for like military troops, like the size of like a military troops. There were 9 kids, and she always made so much food, like so much extra food that they couldn't just eat everything. So yeah, all the recipes are like huge portions, like for so many people.
We have a question. Is it plain flour or bread flour?
Oh, plain flour.
Plain flour. Okay. So what are we going to do with it now? Now you just let it sit.
Yeah. You can let it sit for 20 minutes again, but you don't have to, especially because I let it sit earlier. So it's not, but I think I remember Sarah said it. Sarah said it 2 weeks ago, that there's nothing like very strict in recipe. Like it's always like, mix it, or like just go with how you feel in the moment. So you can sit and you cannot sit.
Okay, sounds good. I like that kind
of. I know it sounds like weird, but yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to while you're doing that. Let's go back to this question that we had about where your family comes from. So you said that your mom is Moroccan and Romanian, and your dad is Iraqi, but both of them were born in Israel.
Yes, that's Sarah.
And you were also born in Israel.
In Israel, yeah.
So when you're in Israel, do you feel particularly Moroccan or Iraqi or Romanian, or do you just feel Israeli?
Just Israeli. I feel Israeli. I am an Israeli. I was born in Israel. My parents were born in Israel, and it's part of my identity. Yeah, I don't see myself like, oh, I'm more Moroccan or more Romanian. And like, I love all the tradition. I love all the food, all the customs, both of the Moroccan, Romanian, and Iraqis. So yeah, but like, I don't know. I'm just an Israeli. But I think like I think the Iraqi side is much more dominant in our family. They're very proud to be Iraqi. And they'll make sure you know that you are Iraqi. If you go to my grandma's house, she will let you know that she's Iraqi Jew. We lived in Israel for like 60 years now, but she will let you know like in first 2 minutes that you speak with her.
That's funny. Your grandmother sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about her story, because she has a fascinating story about her life before she came to Israel, and also about her life coming to Israel.
Yeah. Yeah, so she came to Israel when she was 8. Maybe I'll just speak about a little bit about Iraqi Jews. Yeah, their life in Iraq. So the Jews in Iraq lived very, very, very well during British Empire. They were very successful and were like very integrated in the government. The first finance minister was a Jew. All the British schools were high attended by Jews. My grandpa and his siblings are like English names. Louis, Edmond, Edward, like very, very English names, but looking 100% Iraqi. Yeah, so they lived really, really good in Iraq. My grandma used to like always telling me how rich they were and how big house they had in Iraq. And after the British Empire withdrew from Iraq, a lot of Jews tried to smuggle to go to Israel through Iran, and it was a huge thing. And then the Iraqi parliament decided that all the Jews can leave Iraq if they want, but they take away the citizenship. And this is how they came to Israel, basically, because that law, the Jewish agency basically brought them to Israel. Most of the Jewish Iraqis, almost all of the Jews in Iraq came to Israel in 1 year. And we're talking about 1951. And when they immigrated to Israel in Mechaliyah, Iraqi parliament just took their possession, the belongings, everything, the house, everything. Like my grandma was say how rich they were, and then they like come to Israel and they were living in tents for like 10 years. They smuggled jewelry because the Iraq government took all the jewelry from them, and they were like smuggling them in their shoes, and then their shoes were stolen in Israel. So it's a crazy story, my grandma, and she told me that they wanted to go to Israel so much, like how excited they were to go to Israel. So yeah.
Wow, that's that's a crazy story. And I think that, like, for me, like, I think about these things happening so long ago, but this isn't so long ago. Like, this is your grandmother. Like, that's not.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
It's not a long time ago, and you think that you immigrate to Israel, then you kind of have your home. But then she told me like for 10 years they didn't have any home. They just took them from place to place, living in tents, and have to stand in line to get food. It was very difficult for them because they came from a place that were very, very successful and doing very, very well, to a place that basically they're nothing, they have to start all over. They don't know the language. My grandma, her first language is Arabic. She speaks with her sisters in Arabic.
Wow. Do you speak any Arabic?
No, but if my grandma calls in Arabic, I will understand that.
Okay.
I don't.
So this other recipe in the cookbook, you sent in 2 recipes. We're not going to make the second one today, but can you just tell us what that other recipe is, if people want to make it for themselves after?
Yeah, it's beef. It's the Iraqi chulent, basically.
Sorry, how do you say that?
Tabit. Yeah, or you can say tabit. It depends where you're coming from in Iraq.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's basically the Iraqi chulent. You eat it in Shabbat, and it's rice with chicken, and you can add eggs, boiled eggs. It's very, very nice. And yeah, it's my favorite part of the Shabbat, eating my grandma's chulent, the beet. This is so yummy, the rice. It's like, and everyone wants to eat the bone of like the part of the rice that burned. I know it sounds weird, but it's very delicious. Yeah, I really highly recommend it. And it's so easy to make. It's really like half an hour, and then you have to put it overnight.
Wow, so your grandma made that for you?
Yeah, she makes it every Shabbat. Yeah.
Wow. And then when she moved to Israel, where did she settle? Where did she move to?
My Iraqi grandma. Well, at first they were in Pardes Chana for like a few years. Pardes Chana, it's if you know it, it's like half an hour from Netanya, I want to say, something like that. And then they lived in tents in Pardes Chana. And then because they were very religious, her father was a rabbi, they wanted to move to Kfar Hasidim. So then they moved to Kfar Hasidim, which is a religious, I want to say town, something between a village to a town in Israel. Also there they lived very poorly in the tents. And then after she met my grandpa and got married, they moved to Nahariya, which is in the north of Israel.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of traveling from Iraq all the way across Israel. So let's go all the way to Morocco. Can you tell us a little bit about the community in Morocco and how your family made their way from Morocco to Israel?
My grandma she made Aliyah. She and her sister. She was raised in Bnei Malal, which is a town in Morocco. And she and her sister made Aliyah separately from her parents. They made Aliyah earlier because they were involved with the youth movement. So this is called the Aliyat Noir, called the Aliyah of the youth. but it was through youth movements. So basically, she was quite young. I think she was 11, but they kind of changed her age so she could, say that she's fit to the criteria of the Aliyah. And so they took them all. So you have to remember that all of them are French nationals as well. So they took all the kids in the youth movements, took them to Mercy in France. They were in France 1 year, and they basically were in a summer camp for 1 year in Mercy in France, preparing them for the Aliyah in Israel. And then after a year, she came to Israel in a ship, and she and her sister went to the kibbutz. It's a funny story after that, but they were in the kibbutz. They really enjoyed it. They had really good times. כל אפיקים בעמק הירדן, in the Jordan Valley. But then a few years later, our parents made Aliyah to Israel, and then our father didn't like the fact that she's in the kibbutz, and then he took her out of the kibbutz, and they moved to live in Ma'aboret, in tenants in Nahariya, where she met my grandpa.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, but my mom said it a little bit funny, because saying her grandfather didn't want his daughter would be in the kibbutz, because it's very, they socialize with boys, and they come from very, not modern society, yeah.
Yeah. How are our mufletos coming? Are they all
we can start mentioning them if you want.
Yeah. Ooh, that sounds like fun.
This is how it looks.
How many?
It doesn't look pretty. I think I could even make them even smaller, the balls, but also they grow right now.
How many did you get out of the recipe?
About 30, I think I have here.
13?
30, sorry. I have terrible accent. No. Yeah.
Okay. Great. So what do we do with them?
Okay, so we turn the stove and we put in a not very high setting. Okay. So again, we're going to do it with a lot of oil. Spraying again the counter with oil. I know it's Okay. I know it's weird if you don't usually cook Moroccan food. You think, it's weird why you use so much oil, but that's how the recipes go. So I basically put oil in the counter, and then I'm going to take each of the balls and open it, like you open a pizza. And I hope you're gonna see it. And you open it like in a circle, exactly like pizza.
How thin should it be?
Quite thin. It's supposed to be thin, yeah. I hope you can. It's supposed to be like a circle, not very sure what it is, but this is how they look. I know it's weird. Then you put one here on the, I forgot the name of the pen. The pen. Yes. You put one on the pen. I'm going to bring. And then you have to wait for I hope you can see it.
Yeah.
And you have to wait until it will get about 30 seconds until it become a little bit gold. In the meantime, I'm going to open another one. Cynthia, have you ever had a Moroccan food?
I've had mufleta. In Vancouver, there was a Sephardi shul, and the rabbi used to invite everybody for a big mimuna, and we would all crowd into his house, and he would give everybody blessings, and we would eat mufleta. So that's the only time that I've had it. But what else is Moroccan food? Like what's
so there's the Moroccan chulent, the chamin, shakshuka. It's not Africa food. So shakshuka, it's very North Africa. It's from Tunis and from Morocco. Shakshuka, madboucha, a lot of spices going on.
Yeah, I've definitely had shakshuka.
Yeah.
How's that one going?
I think you need a few more seconds. You need to be a little like golden in the bottom.
Okay.
So when we proper golden, then I'm going to flip it.
Okay. Kind of like a crepe.
Yeah, sort of. It's not very healthy in the mufleta. I wouldn't say it's healthy. It's far from healthy. Because then you put butter and honey, but it's in the same time it's something that you eat only once a year. In Mimuna, you can have it every time you want, but yeah, it's a holiday dish, so why not?
We have a question from Alexa. Can you make it sweet or savory, or would you put toppings? You know how in Israel they make the crepes and they put all the crazy things on top? Like, would you do that with mufleta, or like not really?
No. No. It's just butter and honey.
Chocolate bread?
You can do chocolate for kids. Kids will probably go more with chocolate. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. But none of this crazy Israeli crepe toppings.
Oh, I didn't have it for years. But yeah, it's very good.
Good. Is it golden yet?
A few more seconds.
Okay.
The first one was to take a little bit more time.
What is the heat on? Like medium heat, high heat?
It's medium high. Yeah.
Okay. We had another question. Can you freeze the mufleta either before you cook it or after, or is it you have to eat it fresh?
Eat it fresh. It's not something that maybe eat it the day after, but that's it. You cannot freeze it, and it's supposed to stay when it's hot.
Okay.
But yeah, day after it will survive as well.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I think it's good. Then we can flip it now. And then when you flip it, at the moment that you flip it, you're supposed to take the other mufleta that you opened and you put it on top of it. Did you see what I did? I just took the other mufleta and put it on the one that's on the pan. And we're going to flip it in 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Okay, so the first side that was on the pan, that was on the bottom, was flipped.
Now on top.
Now
yeah,
that's touching the new one.
Yes, and now the one that was on the bottom and now it's on top. We put another one on it, as you can see.
Okay.
Yeah, I will show it again when the time will come. I'll show it again.
Sarah wants to know why we put the other one on top.
Basically, it's as I said, it's frying or getting cooked by the warmth of the pan.
Okay,
so
like that's the true way to do it. Oh, this is exciting.
Okay, as you can see now, I just flip it. And now that I flip it, I put this one on top. And then until I have like a 10, 12 flatter that's ready, then I put it on the plate. So something that is very important to say, you don't need to put any oil in the pan because we used so much oil before. So there's no need for oil in the pan.
Okay, so the side that was the part that was always touching the frying pan is going to be the part that's touching the new mufleta. The part that was most recently touching the pan gets on top, and then the new mufleta goes on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you eat it, would you peel them off one by one, or would you like slice it like a cake?
You just peel it off one by one.
Okay.
And then everyone can, take one and put some butter or honey or chocolate spread for the kids.
Is it a finger food? Like, is it acceptable to sort of just eat it with your hands, or is it better to slice it?
Okay. Generally, it's very acceptable to eat with your hands from Mizrahi Jews. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so you've told us all about your family history and how your grandmothers lived in Morocco and in Iraq, but what about you? So you are born in Israel, your parents were born in Israel, and you said that you feel very Israeli and Ashkenazi as well. You have the Romanian heritage as well. What are you doing in Leeds, and like what made you want to come be a Jaffe Shlicha in Leeds and to work with UJIA?
What am I doing in Leeds? Well, first of all, I'm Shlicha of the Jewish Agency to Leeds. It's my second year in Leeds. I started as a UJIA Shlicha. I was working with students, and now I'm also working with students, but at the same time working as a community Shlicha in Leeds. I will maybe go back and like in time and say that the first time I was the reason I studied Araset, found a lot of interest in diaspora Jews was when I went to Taglit, to Bosra, to the Bosra trip as a soldier. Basically, I was a soldier and I accompanied a group of Americans that came to Israel to tour for 10 days, and I was there for like 4 days. And that was my first encounter with diaspora Jews. And I remember I was thinking to myself, there's so much difference between us, but at the same time, we're so similar. They're like my sibling, like my love sibling. But this one connection with the fact that we both of us are Jews. And I remember they were a group from Chicago, and they said they when we came to Jerusalem, they were all one of them told me Chicago is where I live, but this is my home. And I was blown away. We went to the Western Wall and they were crying. And I was and it was a very meaningful experience for me as a soldier, meeting other Jewish people in our age from other countries. And this is kind of very impacted me. This is why I decided to study international relations. And this is why I worked at the Jewish Agency in Israel as a partnership coordinator. And I was working with the community in Broward County. I know, let's flip here. Just a second, I'm going to put this one as well.
In multitasking.
Yeah. Oh, I'm terrible at multitasking. So let's hope the flutter will be okay. So I was working in the Jewish Agency in Israel with the community in Broward County in Florida. And it was so, I felt the impact of my work. I felt how meaningful it is. And it's very, very great to go to work and feel how the work you do is meaningful and impactful, and how it's important to bring together, to be the living bridge between Israel and diaspora Jews. And this is how I become Shlicha. My manager in Israel told me Karin would be perfect as Shlicha. You should do it. And and I decided to become a Shlicha and start the process. And I'm very, very lucky and feel blessed that come to England. I love British culture. So being here in England is it's really a dream come true for me. And I really love the Jewish community here, and in Leeds are so welcoming, very, very welcoming. And and I'm hoping, to be the living bridge between Israel and the community here.
Wow, amazing. And how is it going in Leeds? It's going well. You've been there over a year now, right?
Yeah, I love Leeds. It's going very well. I started my community work a few months ago, but I was familiar with the community earlier. So it's I don't know, it's the most welcoming people warm, so much fun, great food. Like really, I really enjoy to work with the community, working with the zone, with the schools, with Morroco, and yeah, and the schools, and yeah.
Wow, you're really talking up Leeds. I think that I want to come visit now.
I invited you to come, say, and I'm looking forward for you to come after COVID will end and we will go, hiking in Yorkshire. There's my favorite.
Amazing, amazing. I'm looking forward. So, wow, I think that we're coming up on our time, but it's just so fascinating, all of the different histories and how you're sort of bringing together. We didn't even get into the Romanian story, but we heard about the Moroccan community, and we heard about your grandmother's life in Iraq, and all of those stories are so fascinating. And I think that, like, for me, it's really interesting to see how you're Israeli, and like Israel in general, not just you, but the entire country of Israel is really made up of these smaller communities. And like we were saying before, like now it's not just Moroccan Jews who have Mamuna, but Mamuna has become part of a larger Israeli culture,
Yeah.
because all of these different minority communities have helped shape the Israeli culture that we have today, which is really fascinating. And it's really an example of kibbutz galuyot, of these ingathering of these exiles. And we have Corinne, who's our living example of that concept. So we want to thank Corinne so much, and also to open it up to any questions. Does anybody have any questions? So you can pop them in the chat, or you can also pop up a hand. We have a question from Claire. Do you want to ask your question? You can unmute yourself. Or I can ask it.
Hi, I've enjoyed watching what you're doing, but I've looked at the Chulent recipe, and I'd like to know when, or if you add the dates that you said could be added.
Anytime. It's my grandma trick. It's not like in every recipe they put dates, but my grandma told me, like I asked the recipe from her, she was like, yeah, you can stick dates if you want. Just put it in the end before you put it on the platter or in the oven.
Thank you.
Tasty. Do we have any other questions? You can unmute yourself or just raise your hand.
Yeah, can I ask a question? Corinne, how come it's not sticking when you're putting all the muletos on top of each other?
Because there's so much oil involved. This is how it doesn't stick to each other.
Okay.
Yeah. You have to make it very thin. I think I needed a bigger pan, but yeah.
Okay.
So I have an observation rather than a question.
Okay.
You have this to celebrate the end of Pesach, but actually it's another flatbread and really unleavened because you've got no yeast in it. But I suppose that the fact you pile it up makes it seem different from matzah.
Oh, yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. Yeah, I don't know where the tradition really come from, but yeah.
Adele, would you rather eat mufleta or matzah?
Oh, no argument. This definitely, but it just seems sort of strange that it's to celebrate the ending of eating unleavened, and it's unleavened.
Yeah, you can also find the yeast recipe with yeast for mufleta, but this one is without the yeast. I think I can say that, like in my family, we don't do mimuna. We usually just eat mufleta and drink a cup of tea, and that's it, because it takes so much time to clear the kitchen again from Passover, kosher Passover to chametz again, and until you finish it, it's already like midnight, and so you don't have enough time to do all the parties. So a lot of people that do the mimuna, the party, they're preparing for this for like days before, and usually most of the food in the mimuna is actually kosher for Passover because they're preparing it for like days before.
Ah, okay.
Oh, interesting. We've had a few requests to show us that final mufleta. Can you show us what it looks like all piled up?
Yeah, so this is like this. You see, I could actually can keep on with like a few more flattered, but let's just finish
How
now.
many have you done there?
I have to count. Is it about 8? Yeah.
Can you show us very close, like close to the camera, so we can see the texture? Yum, delicious.
So can you lift one off to show it? Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's
So
like-
if I were more talented, it's supposed to be look more like a circle, but it's fine because in the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how it looks, because you just take a butter or honey and spread it and roll it. As you see in Prince Harry photo, you basically, oh, I cannot open it. You just take like honey and spread it on the reflector. And you just roll it.
Ooh.
It's like a crepe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very like a crepe.
Yeah, lovely.
We have a question from Tracy. Is it crispy or is it soft?
It's soft.
Well, it looks delicious. Do we have any other questions? Feel free to just unmute yourself and ask. It
looks delicious. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely delicious. Thank you.
Thank you.